everyone. So originally I wasn't gonna upload this week, and hang on, I've got a cord situation here. So I wanted to get back into the Dark Souls content. Let me say this right now. All of my previous weapon reviews and build videos, everything I have done before today on Dark Souls, I did when I was horrible at the game, and none of it is reliable information. Let's see here. Where's a good place for a weapon review? I used to do it here at Vora de Boreal Valley, but that's too easy. Honestly, it's not much of a demonstration. Let's see here. I guess Ithriel is as good a place as any. So today we are looking at the Onyx blade, which is supposedly the strongest great sword in the game. Now, how do I feel about the Onyx blade? It does get really high damage. It has really good range. It has the same moveset as the claymore, so that's really good. It's got the R2 thrust. It's got the generic R1s of a greatsword. But this weapon, while it is an amazing pyromancer weapon, it does have one major weakness. Its damage is a two-way split when it's not buffed with Elfried's Black Flame, but a three-way split when it is. Now, does this mean the weapon does such bad damage it's not worth using? No. I mean, it may be a three-way split, but it has good physical and dark damage, and on top of that, its weapon art basically puts charcoal pine resin on it and gives it 150 fire AR on top of it, so it's not terrible AR, it's just having a three-way split in damage types isn't really a good thing. But I feel if it didn't have that three-way split, it would be pretty overpowered. Because it is kind of an amazing weapon for a pyromancer. And now, what makes me credible now as opposed to before? Well, just last night I was half asleep, and in 3 hours, I got from High Wall of Lothric, this is in 3 hours, to killing every single Lord of Cinder up to Pontiff, including Yorm. So, I'd say that now I am a credible source for this. As you can see, I'm playing a lot more tactically than I used to. I've learned a lot more about the game, and I can genuinely say, if you want to use a pyromancer and you have the Ashes of Ariandel DLC, or Fire Fades Edition, which gives you every DLC, definitely take a look at the Onyx blade. You can't buff it other than its own weapon art, but since its own weapon art is equivalent to a charcoal pine resin, that's not a big deal. And while it does have split damage, it is dark damage, so it is still going to do some pretty major damage. And on top of that, look at this speed. Like, if I'm not mistaken, that's actually a little bit faster than the claymore, which is really an amazing weapon. These guys used to give me so much trouble, I swear. Also, what do you guys think of my fashion souls? Tell me in the comments. Could I be using better pyromancies on this build? Yes, I mean, I could be using the Chaos Bed Vestige, of course, but I don't have it. I don't... If I remember correctly, I do not have it on this build. I've come a long way since before. Before I was doing weapon reviews at High Wall of Lothric, for crying out loud. And now I am taking them to Ithriel. That's a pretty big step. The Onyx Blade, honestly, everyone thinks it's the strongest greatsword in the game, and really, I wouldn't say it's the strongest, per se. I mean, yes, it is very, very good, but all greatswords, in my opinion, have something going for them that makes them, at the very least, viable. But the Onyx Blade, yeah, it has the best range of all, but the one thing that is turning me away from calling it the best greatsword is the three-way split in damage. I mean, if I had to pick a greatsword to be the top greatsword, I'd say that would either have to be the claymore or... Oh, crud, I need to use my Ashenestus. Yeah, that would have to be either the claymore or... Crap, what was the other one? The Hollow Slayer. Which... The claymore has maybe the most advantages of any greatsword. It's buffable, infusible, it uses normal titinate shards, so you can take it all the way to plus 10. But, of course, that is for PvP. I would really say that the Hollow Slayer is the best possible greatsword for PvP. I mean, PvE, sorry. The Onyx Blade is just, it's a three-way split weapon that it's, yes, it has good range, good damage, but its damage is a three-way split that, and it can only be buffed with its own weapon art, it cannot be infused, and it requires Twinkling Titanite to upgrade it. Those are some pretty heavy downgrades. Now, if it wasn't so limited because of these, would I call it better than the Claymore? Absolutely. If it wasn't limited by these things so heavily, yeah, I would call it the best greatsword in the game. But these are some pretty hefty downgrades. So, while I would call it strong, I wouldn't call it the best greatsword. But if you can actually manage to deal with Vinheim, and you have the DLC, you like pyromancers, definitely take a look at the weapon. It is very, very good. I am not denying that it is a good weapon that is going to kick some serious butt. What I am denying is it being the best greatsword, because, look, it just isn't the best greatsword. It can't physically be the best greatsword. With its three-way split, like, let me show you its damage, okay? So, when you get 242 without the buff, and with the buff, and yes, this isn't a terribly high-level character, but... And then with the buff, you get 387. While that seems like very good damage, here's what you have to think about. That is split into 3 different damage types, which means it has to go through 3 different forms of absorption. Dark may be strong against almost every single thing. Oh my god, what did I just walk into? But the thing with that is, it's still not physical damage. If it was 100% physical damage, yeah, we would be looking at basically a weapon that would be banned everywhere, because it just gets too much damage. Like, My super low level character gets super high damage with it. So if all of that was converted to physical, we would be looking at a weapon that's basically gonna one-shot everything. I do have another pyromancer that is much higher level, but this is sort of an OC I made in Dark Souls. But yeah, this weapon is very good. I would not say in PvE or PvP it's not worth using, but you're probably thinking, well, then why don't people use it? Well, that's because it's a very specified build. Notice how I'm not using many pyromancies on this build? That's because this thing's weapon art is a... Jesus! What's with this berserker? That's because this build is more... Well, one, dark pyromancies are the only thing that really fit this character, so that limits me pretty majorly. And it's not exactly the most free to focus weapon. Like, it requires a lot of focus to use this weapon optimally, due to its weapon art eating your focus and just being the only major way to do good damage. Which you may be thinking, well, if you're fighting an enemy with high fire resistance, why not just use your pyromancies? Well, the pyromancy is not really as good as the damage this thing gets. I mean, would you rather make your weapon do more damage overall, or hope you don't get hit while you're casting a spell that's just going to do bad damage for more focus? The way I see it, in most situations, you're not really going to use pyromancies when you're using the Onyx blade. It's more just going to be the weapon. So, yeah. Overall, what do I think of the Onyx blade? It's an amazing weapon that will not let you down if you build around it correctly. Do I find it the best weapon in the game for a greatsword? Absolutely not. But it's an amazing pyromancer weapon, and it's a typical greatsword. So if you find greatswords fun in general, you're gonna like the Onyx blade. Especially if you like pyromancers. So now, I don't have anything more to say on this thing, but because I want to keep my video length consistent, enjoy some raw Onyx blade gameplay. Sorry, Israel is a bit of a maze to me still. I have not been here too many times, so I still have a little trouble finding my way around. Oh wait, I remember to go. I'd show you guys a real enemy, but I don't think there's any left. Like, I think I killed the Pontiff Beast. No, I didn't then. Or I would have the Pontiff Right Eye Ring. So, I guess I could go kill the Pontiff Beast for you guys, or try to. They still give me a lot of trouble. You know what? Screw it. Probably gonna die, but let's go ahead and go try to fight that thing. Because, like, I want to give a proper demonstration of this weapon, but note that these things still give me trouble. So, that is something you need to keep in mind when I am about to do this. Where is it? Did I actually kill it and sell the ring? I haven't used this build in a while. I guess I did. Sorry about that, guys. I just assumed I hadn't killed it because I didn't have the ring, and I usually have a lot of trouble with those things. So let's see here. What can I go kill for you guys? I've already killed Vinheim because I have the weapon. I guess I could show you guys with a... You know what? Still probably going to kill me, but I'm going to go ahead and show you guys on a Corvian Knight what this thing can do. Which, if you have played the Ashes of Ariandel DLC, you would know that Corvian Knights are brutal. They are tanky as heck, and they hit so hard. And they're fast. But I mean, I have come close to beating the Twin Princes, okay? With the long sword. I think I can handle a simple Corvian Knight. And note that this weapon on this build is in no way optimized. See, it is +0, and my character is still low level, so note that this is in no way anywhere near the Onyx Blade's total damage output it can get up to. The max damage this thing can get up to is really insane. Those guys are just going to be a bit of a pain in the butt, so I decided to kill them. They're not what I am going to show you the weapon with. What I am going to show it to you with is coming up right here. But again, I wasn't going to upload this week because I thought I would be working on my anniversary video, but the thing is, because the Try Not to Laugh challenge didn't work out, and the song isn't going to happen because I couldn't get my voice right. I'll just be reacting to my old videos, not much of a challenge. As you can see, this thing is a tank, but it doesn't hit as hard as I remember. It honestly doesn't. I usually run past these guys. Wait, did I just parry this guy by attacking? I hardly fight these things because they're just such a nightmare. So if any of you have fought Corvian Knights, you know this is not an easy feat. Now, I have just proved to myself that this thing is amazing, because it was able to do something I couldn't manage with the cell swords, considered to be the best PvE weapon. So, where would I rate this weapon? Well, I would rate it pretty far up there. I'd say in PvE, it is actually a little bit better than the Hollow Slayer, honestly. But because of its restrictions of fire, dark, and physical damage all in one weapon, to get a high AR, whereas the claymore gets high damage for just physical, I'd have to say it is better than the Hollow Slayer, but it cannot compete with the claymore, I would say. Now, does this mean it is not a good weapon? Absolutely not. The Onyx Blade is still an amazing weapon, and in my opinion, the best looking of all the great swords. Plus, if you want to feel like a badass, how much better can you get than that weapon art? So, tell me what you guys think of the Onyx Blade. I'm curious. This is quite possibly my favorite greatsword in the game. For a while, it was my favorite weapon. Since the you-know-what started, this whole worldwide disaster, I've been able to play Dark Souls a lot, and I've gotten way better than I was, like, what, a year ago? I think it was about a year. So, yeah, with that being said, Onyx Blade, amazing weapon. Would I recommend it to beginners? No, because you need a DLC, and you either have to cheese Vinheim or genuinely beat him, which neither one is very easy. So I would not recommend the Onyx Blade just because it's not easy to get a hold of to a beginner. Would I recommend it if you just want a fun pyromancy greatsword? Absolutely, it's an amazing weapon. Anyways, this has been my review of the Onyx Blade. I don't remember if I did one of these before, but if I did, it is out of date, and nothing I said in there can be really trusted, and that is why, if you're gonna quote me on anything about the Onyx Blade, please use what I said in this video, not my previous video, because if I did do a previous video on this, because that would not be reliable information to use. Please don't. Back then, I still struggled with the dancer. So, yeah. And now I'm about to beat the freaking Twin Princes, so way better than I was then. And with that, I'll see you guys next week for the anniversary. See you later, everyone.